Hi friends, it's Allie here with the Turtle Trunk, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet this quick and simple pot holder. It measures about 7 inches by 7 inches, uses less than 100 yards of yarn, and can be made in about 15 minutes. So this is going to be really great for the holiday season as stocking stuffers or gifts, but really you can make this any time of year. So let's grab our supplies and let's get started. For this pattern, we're going to be holding together 2 strands of yarn. So we're going to be using a medium or 4-weight yarn in a 100% cotton. Since this is going to be used for hot dishes, you want to make sure that you're using a material that is not going to melt. So we're going to be using 100% cotton. So I'm using 1 strand of red and 1 of white. You can use the same colors or different colors. You're just going to need 2 strands held together. Our hook is a 6.5 millimeter or K hook. You'll also need a yarn needle and a pair of scissors. So with my 2 strands of yarn held together, I am going to make a slip knot. You want to leave a long enough tail behind that we have enough to weave it in at the end. And then we're going to make a chain of 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have a chain of 20. And now in the second chain from the hook, so this would be our first one, this would be our second, we are going to work a slip stitch. So we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch, and then we're going to half double crochet into the next stitch, so into the next chain. So this is an even moss stitch when you go from a slip stitch in the first and then a half double crochet in the next, and then you just repeat that down. That's an even moss stitch, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of this pattern. So in the next chain we're going to slip stitch, and then the next one we're going to half double crochet. Slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next, slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next. We're going to repeat this all the way down, and in our very last chain it will be a slip stitch. So I just have 1 stitch left, so in the last stitch we're going to work a slip stitch. And at the end of this row we will have 19 stitches. For the even moss stitch, you always want to start with a slip stitch and end with a slip stitch. So at the end of row 1 we have 19 stitches. We're going to chain 1, turn our work. So now we're working back the way we just came. And we're going to repeat the same thing. So we are going to slip stitch in the first stitch, and then half double crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way across, and we're going to be ending on a slip stitch again. So I'm coming up to the last stitch, so I'm going to slip stitch into the last stitch. And at the end of row 2, our stitch count is still at 19. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And then I'm just going to repeat what we did for row 2 all the way until row 22. So we're always going to start with a slip stitch and then half double crochet in the next. Slip stitch in the next, half double crochet in the next. Repeat that all the way down and always ending on a slip stitch. So this is row 2, and we're going to repeat this all the way to the end of row 22. So you always start with a slip stitch, then go half double crochet, slip stitch, half double crochet all the way across, always ending on a slip stitch. We'll always have 19 stitches across. You always chain one at the end, turn your work, and repeat. So we're just gonna keep going to the end of row 22, and when we get to the end of row 22, I'll catch up with you guys and I'll show you how to add your hanging loop. So I'm just coming up to the end of row 22. So there we have it. That's 22 rows. So to end this, I'm not going to be working a border around mine because I actually really like the raw edge around this. If you want to add a border, you can single crochet around or do whatever you'd like, but I'm not going to be adding a border on mine. I'm just going to be doing the hanging loop now. So do the hanging loop. We're going to keep our yarn attached after our slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we have a chain of 10, and then into the same stitch that we were working into, I'm going to slip stitch. And there we go, there's our hanging loop. And just to tie off, I'm going to chain one, cut off my yarn, leaving a long enough tail to weave it in, so at least a good few inches. So tie that off and then take my hook and pull, and then just pull tight on that to make sure it's secure. So there we go. Now we just have our ends from here and at the bottom here. So if you want to grab your yarn needle and weave in all of the ends. Alrighty, so I have all of my ends weaved in, and now this is good to go. I really like it with the two colors, but if you want to use one color, it looks really nice and classic as well. So there's a lot of options for you here. If you want to adapt the size at all you have to do is make your starting chain longer or shorter. Just make sure that your chain is an even number and that you work the first stitch into the second chain from the hook, so that each stitch across, each row is going to have a odd number across, and that makes it so that you can have your slip stitch at the beginning and one at the end as well. So this is really easy to adapt the size and make it perfect for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. You can find more free patterns on my blog, whoshomemade.com. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and be sure to tag me in your photos so I can see your finished turtle trunk creations. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.